A purge swept through Pyongyang's elite. Kim Yo-jong's inner circle started disappearing one by one, dragged from their homes at dawn with their families. No trials, just execution notices. They vanished without a trace. But one man survived. A high-ranking official who worked directly under Kim Yo-jong escaped what should have been impossible. He was officially declared dead while still alive. Tonight, he reveals the shocking truth about North Korea's death certificates, and the identity of the person who saved him at the last moment might surprise you. This is his testimony, risked everything to tell. Working in the organization and guidance department was a privilege. I spent 15 years at the heart of the party, overseeing Kim Yo-jong's practical strategy toward South Korea. The travel was constant. Reports had to be written through the night. But I believed I was serving the party. One morning I walked in and saw Deputy Director Ri's desk completely empty. His files gone. The portrait of the Supreme Leader that hung on his wall gone. Even his nameplate had been removed. No one asked about him. I kept my mouth shut. A few days later, Vice Director Choi didn't show up to the meeting. The next day, a stranger sat in his chair. Within a week, 5 people vanished, all of them close to Kim Yo-jong. Colleagues avoided eye contact in the hallways. Lunch was silent. The office was quiet, but the silence was thick with fear. On my way home, I spotted a state security vehicle, a black sedan, moving slowly in the direction of my apartment. A chill ran down my spine. I walked like nothing was wrong, but my hands were shaking when I reached the front door. Inside, my wife was making dinner. My daughter was doing homework in her room. My son sat in the living room drawing. It was an ordinary evening, but I knew it wouldn't last. That night, I couldn't sleep. I looked out the window. A car sat at the entrance to our alley. Lights off. Someone inside. It stayed there until dawn. The next day at work, I found a paper on my desk. A summons to state security. Tomorrow morning, no explanation. Sweat on my palms. Heart pounding. I looked around. No one looked back. I went home that evening but said nothing to my wife. All through dinner, I watched my children's faces. My daughter talked about school. My son showed me a drawing. I couldn't focus. That night, after everyone went to bed, I lay awake. At dawn, the front door exploded. Shouting. Boots pounding the hallway. Flashlight beams flooded the bedroom. 5 state security agents burst in. My wife screamed. The children woke. Parkman Chol! Everyone out now! No time to resist. Barely dressed, I was dragged into the living room. My wife clutched the children. My daughter sobbed. My son tried to stay under the blanket. An agent grabbed his arm. I stepped in front. Someone twisted my arm behind my back. Don't resist. Just come quietly. The house was torn apart. Drawers emptied. Closet doors flung open. Books scattered on the floor. They searched every corner. Even my daughter's diary was confiscated. We were shoved into a vehicle. Outside, it was still dark. We left Pyongyang, heading toward the outskirts. My wife and children were in another car. I couldn't see them. We arrived at a temporary detention facility just before dawn. A gray concrete building. Bars on the windows. The hallway reeked of disinfectant. I was locked in a small room alone. Cold cement floor. A bucket in the corner. I lost track of time. No window. No clock. I just waited for the door to open. I didn't know where my wife and children were. Whether they were safe, I knew nothing. The door opened. 2 agents dragged me out. Down the hallway, down the stairs, underground. A flickering fluorescent light above the interrogation room. The door opened. An interrogator sat behind a desk staring at me. Sit! Questions came fast. What orders had I received from Kim Yo-jong? Were there unofficial meetings? Who did I contact? Every answer led to another question. The same questions, phrased differently. My answers were never believed. The interrogation lasted 2 days. No sleep. 1 bowl of corn porridge a day. Bathroom breaks only when they allowed it. The interrogators rotated shifts, but the questions stayed the same. My answers were never accepted. Comrade Yo-jong must have given you unofficial orders. Denial was useless. They had already decided the verdict. All I could do was endure. On the 3rd day, when I was dragged back into the room, A thick stack of documents sat on the desk. Your crimes forming dual centers of power and anti-party, anti-revolutionary activities. The interrogator read through the papers. According to the documents, I had carried out Kim Yo-jong's orders to pursue a line that diverged from Party Central. Specific dates, locations, all fabricated. Meeting records I never attended. Statements I never made. Documents with my forged signature presented as evidence. This is fabricated. I never did any of this. The interrogator smirked. My protest meant nothing. The verdict was already set. This process was just a formality. He closed the file and looked straight at me. Not just you. Your entire family will be processed under the guilt by association system. My body froze. My wife, my children. They were being dragged into this. My crime had become theirs. The interrogator spoke calmly. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Public execution. No trial. No chance to defend myself. No way to appeal. Just a notification that tomorrow morning I would die. The interrogator stood. The agents dragged me back to my cell. Alone in the room, my knees buckled. I collapsed, leaned against the wall, stared at the ceiling. Tears streamed down, but I had no strength to wipe them away. 20 years serving the party, loyal to the end, trying my best to protect my family. And this was how it ended. I don't know how much time passed before the door opened. I looked up. An agent brought in my wife and children. The door closed. Our family spent our last night together. My wife collapsed into my arms. My daughter sat beside me crying. My son gripped my hand without a word. I'm sorry. That's all I could say. My wife shook her head. The children said nothing. We held each other through the night. Outside, dawn began to break. Execution time was approaching. At 6 in the morning, the door opened. Agents pulled us to our feet, dragged us down the hallway into another room. Other prisoners were already lined up, all staring at the floor with pale faces. Names were called one by one. Mine, my wife's, my children's. We stepped forward and received documents. Execution notices, charges, time, location. At the bottom, the stamp of the Supreme Leader. 9 o'clock this morning. Pyeongseong Kyohwaso Exercise Yard. The agent spoke coldly. In 3 hours, we would die. Hundreds would watch. Public execution was meant as a warning. We were tools to show what happened to those who resisted the system. Back in the room, my wife held the children tight. My daughter had stopped crying. My son buried his face in his mother's arms, motionless. I sat beside them, rubbing their backs. Dad, are we really going to die? My son's voice was small. I couldn't answer, couldn't lie. I just stroked his head and said nothing. My wife whispered to the children, We're together. It's okay. A lie, but meant to comfort them. My daughter nodded. My son lifted his head. We held hands and waited. Time passed. Boots echoed in the hallway. Doors opened and closed. Footsteps of those being led to the execution ground grew closer. I looked out the window. The sky was clear. The world, unaware, welcomed an ordinary morning. 8:30. Agents lined the hallway. Stopped in front of our door. I heard the handle turn. My wife pulled the children closer. I wrapped my arms around them. We waited for the final moment. The door opened, but the agents didn't enter. The hallway was strangely silent. No sound at all. I looked up. The hallway was empty. Only the fluorescent lights flickered. The guard post was vacant. I didn't understand. Slowly, I stood and stepped into the hallway. Walked down the corridor. Other cell doors stood open. Empty. The entire building was deserted. No guards, no interrogators. Just us. At the entrance, a black sedan waited. The kind high-ranking officials rode in. The rear door was open. Someone sat in the driver's seat, waiting for us. I didn't understand what was happening. But there was no choice. We got in the car. My wife and children sat in the back. I took the seat beside them. The door closed. The car pulled away. The driver didn't look back. Didn't speak. Just gripped the wheel and drove. Through the window, the detention facility faded. Barbed wire. Watchtowers. The front gate checkpoint empty. CCTV cameras pointed downward. Power off. No red lights. We passed through without a single obstacle. We entered downtown Pyongyang. Early morning. The streets were quiet. A few people heading to work. No one paid attention to our car. High-ranking official vehicle. No checkpoints. Traffic lights seemed to change for us. We left the city without delay. After a while, the driver opened the glove compartment. Without turning around, he reached back and handed me an envelope. My hands trembled as I took it. I tore it open. 4 sheets of paper inside. Each one had our names. The heading read, Death Report. Cause of death, acute heart failure. Time of death, 5 o'clock this morning. Location, solitary cell in temporary detention facility. Autopsy results. Disposal procedures. All documented in detail. At the bottom, the signature and seal of the State Security Director. Official approval stamps. A perfect official document. According to North Korean records, we were already dead. Death processed before execution. Our existence officially erased. No one would search for us now. No one would track us. The driver spoke. A low, brief voice. Eyes forward. Live. And testify. That was all. I didn't ask whose orders. Didn't ask why we were being saved. Understanding those words was enough. It was Kim Yo-jong. She had ordered our deaths faked. Arranged everything to get us out. In the final moment, she gave us a chance to escape. I didn't know why. Why would she, pushed out in a power struggle, save her aides? Why would she risk herself to do this? I had no way of knowing. But one thing was clear. She wanted us to live and tell the truth. To testify outside North Korea. That was her final gift to us. The car continued north. We left Pyongyang completely, entered the outer roads. A sign read Sinuiju direction. We were heading for the border. My wife squeezed my hand. The children watched through the windows, tense. Our escape had begun. The car didn't stop. At every checkpoint, guards saluted, checked the license plate, waved us through. A high-ranking official vehicle. No one suspected. The driver stayed silent. So did we. Only the engine filled the car. Around afternoon, we reached Sinuiju. The Yalu River came into view. Across the water, Chinese territory stretched out. Border fencing glinted in the sunlight. The car followed the riverside road. Avoided the city center. Took roads where no one would notice. The car stopped in a quiet area. The driver turned off the engine and looked back. I saw his face clearly for the first time. A man in his 50s, expressionless. But his eyes were serious. Get out here! Someone's waiting behind that warehouse. The driver pointed. Toward the riverside, an old warehouse building stood. Behind it, reeds. No sign of anyone. We got out. The driver restarted the engine. Drove off without looking back. We walked to the warehouse. A rusted iron door, half open. Dark inside. Every footstep echoed. My heart raced. Around the back, a man emerged from the reeds. 40s. Worn work clothes. He nodded when he saw us. Park Min-chol, a broker. Someone who helped defectors cross the border. He already knew about us. Following a prepared plan. He pointed to the reeds. We leave at sunset. Wait here until then. We hid in the reeds for hours. The children, exhausted, fell asleep on their mother's lap. My wife watched the river, anxious. I kept watch. The sun began to set. The sky turned red. As darkness fell, the broker reappeared. We leave now. Stay quiet. Follow me. We left the reeds and descended to the riverbank. A small boat tied at the water's edge. Old. Wooden. Room for maybe 4 or 5 people. Children first. My wife next. I climbed in last. The broker rowed. Soft splashing. The boat moved slowly toward the middle of the river. North Korean land grew distant. I looked back. The lights of Sinuiju flickered faintly. The land I'd lived my entire life. A place I'd never returned to. Halfway across, my wife grabbed my hand. Trembling. Cold. But her grip was strong. The children woke. Looked around. Frightened. I smiled to reassure them. The Chinese riverbank drew closer. The broker steered into thick reeds. He got out first. Checked the surroundings. Signaled it was safe. We stepped off the boat. Onto Chinese soil. In that moment, people officially dead in North Korea truly came back to life. The broker led us into the forest. No path. Branches scratched our faces. The children struggled but stayed silent. After an hour, we reached a dirt road. An old truck waited. 2 other defectors were already in the back. Get in the truck bed. It's a 2-day drive to Yunnan province. We climbed in, cramped, covered with a tarp, barely room to sit. We nodded at the other defectors. No one spoke. We all knew we shared the same fate. The truck started. The rough road shook us violently. The children got motion sickness, had to endure it. We hid during the day, moved only at night, to avoid checkpoints. If Chinese police caught us, we'd be sent back. The broker moved carefully. At rest stops, he bought us simple food. We could use the restroom, but we couldn't stay long. 2 days later, we arrived in Kunming, Yunnan province. A big city, crowded. We hid in a shabby motel room. The broker spoke. "Rest here for a few days? I'll contact you when the next leg is ready." We spent a week in that room. Couldn't go outside. Couldn't open the windows. All day, trapped in that small space. The broker brought food. The children were bored but had to endure. We just waited for the next call. A different broker appeared. Younger, rougher speech. He loaded us into a truck. This time we were headed to Jinghong. From there, we'd cross into Laos. We arrived in Jinghong at night. A border city. Sparse lights. The broker led us up a mountain path. We had to avoid the official border checkpoint. Cross through the jungle. He warned us it was dangerous. The mountain path was steep. We relied on one flashlight. We took turns carrying the children. Nearly fell several times. At dawn, we set foot on Laotian soil. The broker said we could relax. The risk of repatriation had decreased. But Laos wasn't safe either. We heard that Laotian authorities also captured defectors and handed them over to North Korea. We had to get to Thailand as fast as possible. The broker hurried. We crossed inland Laos, hid for days, took buses and trucks alternately, finally reached the border. The Mekong River appeared, the border with Thailand. Across the river, freedom. Once there, no more repatriation. The broker prepared a small boat. We'd cross at night. In the darkness, we boarded. The current was rougher than expected. The boat rocked. Water splashed in. The children were scared, but the broker rowed calmly. Halfway across, the far bank came into view. Lights flickered. Thailand drew closer. The boat reached the Thai riverbank. When we stepped off, my legs gave out. My wife burst into tears. The children exhaled in relief. The broker spoke. "Go to the police now. Tell them you're defectors. They'll contact the South Korean embassy." We thanked the broker. He just nodded and disappeared. We walked into the village. Dawn. The streets were quiet. We found the police station. Knocked on the door. A policeman came out. Looked at us. I spoke, my voice shaking. "We're from North Korea." We spent the night at the Thai police station. The officers were kind. Brought us food. Gave the children blankets. The next morning, immigration officials arrived. Took us to Bangkok. We were placed in an immigration detention center. The detention center was better than expected. We had a room, beds, showers. Other defectors were there too. We talked with each other. Everyone was waiting to go to South Korea. A few days later, a South Korean embassy official visited. Processed our identity verification. Said we'd be able to go to Korea within a month. We spent a month in the detention center. The children made friends with other defector kids. My wife slowly found stability. I thought about how we'd live from now on. Life in Pyongyang was over. A new life was beginning. I was scared, but also hopeful. Plane tickets to South Korea arrived. Embassy staff helped with the process. Took us to the airport. For the first time, we boarded a plane. The children were amazed. Looked out the window at the clouds. My wife held my hand. The plane took off. Thailand faded below. We rose above the clouds. Hours later, we landed at Incheon Airport. When we got off the plane, my legs were shaking. We passed through immigration. Set foot on South Korean soil. Ministry of Unification staff greeted us. Said we'd go to Hanawon, receive adaptation education there. We got in a car and drove. Through the windows, Seoul passed by. Tall buildings. Cars speeding. A completely different world from North Korea. The children couldn't look away. I just stared, dazed. We spent 3 months at Hanawon, relearned Korean, took social adaptation classes, prepared for employment. The children got ready for school. My wife learned beauty skills. Gradually, we adapted to South Korean society. After the education ended, We were assigned an apartment. Small, furnished. We could start living on government support. The children enrolled in school, began making friends. I went out looking for work. When I received my first paycheck, tears came. It was strange to receive wages for my own labor. I was grateful I could feed my family with this money. Just being able to live freely made me happy. Sometimes I think about Pyongyang, my days working in the organization and guidance department. My colleagues' faces, the people who vanished. I don't know how many survived. I don't know what happened to Kim Yo-jong. I'll never know. But one thing is certain. Kim Yo-jong saved my family. Without her choice, we couldn't have this freedom. I have no way to tell her thank you. But sometimes I think of her and cry. I live to testify. I speak about what happens in North Korea. I reveal the reality of purges. I tell the world about the system's cruelty. I try not to waste the final gift Kim Yo-jong gave me. Recorded as dead, I live to tell the truth. I believe that's what I can do. My children are now South Korean students. They talk about dreams, plan for the future, grow up free. My wife works at a salon, laughing with customers. I work at a company, living as an ordinary employee. We're building a new life. I hope this story helps you understand the reality of North Korea. Please support us with subscriptions and likes so more people can hear stories like this. Thank you.